Welcome to Meet Your Neighbor, the podcast that highlights the people and stories that make Westbrook Village a truly exceptional community. I'm your host, Steve Marilla, local realtor, neighbor, and proud member of this vibrant community. Each episode, we sit down with residents to learn about their careers, life experiences, and what brought them to Westbrook Village. It's a chance to connect, share, and celebrate the unique journeys that shape our neighborhood. Thanks for tuning in. And now, let's meet your neighbor. Before every episode, I stand right here in my garage and record these intros. And today's guest is someone who's grounded in service, faith, and a whole lot of Midwest pride. This week, I sat down with Russ Fuller. Russ grew up in Bettendorf, Iowa. And if you know anything about Iowa, you know that means strong roots and even stronger loyalty, especially when it comes to the Iowa Hawkeyes. Russ is also an Air Force veteran, and that commitment to serving others didn't stop when his military career ended. He went on to spend 17 years in ministry, dedicating his life to helping and guiding others. And even today, he's still doing just that, continuing to serve right here in our community at Christ Church of the Valley in Peoria. Russ's story is one of consistency, showing up, serving others, and staying true to what matters most. And as always, if stories like Russ gets you thinking about life here in Arizona, and you're even a little bit curious about making a move, give me a call or shoot me a message. I'm always happy to help. Now, let's meet your neighbor. Hello, Russ.
How you doing, Steve?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Good. Russ and I knew each other. We know each other from walking. And you meet so many different people in so many different ways here. And I would walk and then I would be running and you would say, why aren't you, when I was walking, you'd say, why aren't you running? And then you would be walking and I'd say, why aren't you running? And we kind of developed a friendship that way. I feel like. Yeah,
and we've got some overlapping friends, a couple of them, so that kind of added to it as well, yes.
Yeah, so, and you're moving. We're not going to talk about that right away, but I want to get to know you. So where did you grow up?
I grew up in a place called Bettendorf, Iowa. It's part of what they call the Quad Cities. There's 4 cities there. There's Davenport, Bettendorf, Iowa. There's Rock Island and Moline, Illinois. And then there's some surrounding suburbs. But the ironic thing is nobody's heard of it unless you're from that area. But it has probably about 250, 300,000 people when you add it all together. So it's not real small, but it's just unheard of. The largest is Davenport at about 110, 15,000.
What was it like growing up there? Were you kind of in a city or were you out in the country?
I never made it to, you think of Iowa, you think of farm implements, and it is the farm implement capital of the world. John Deere headquarters is in Moline, Illinois.
Okay.
And at one time we had like 9 John Deere plants. We had a couple of IH plants that are no longer, obviously. We had some other farm implement. Caterpillar was there.
Okay.
So the J.I. Case was there. So it was big in that, but I was a city boy. Never even ventured to a farm ever. So
let me ask you though, because even though you're not a farmer, are you inclined to like John Deere just because it's from your heritage of your town?
I like John Deere because my wife did grow up on a farm up at the other end of Iowa by Sioux City, Iowa. Okay. Totally the opposite end.
Yeah.
And they had nothing but John Deere. So therefore we can have nothing but John Deere. The interesting part about the Quad Cities, it's the only place on the Mississippi River where the Mississippi runs due east and west.
Oh, really?
A lot of people that move there get confused by it because you think the Mississippi is north and south, but right there it turns for about 10 miles and goes due east and west.
Wow. That is, I never knew that.
That's a little trivia. You can win some money on that.
Right. Well, is that so? Is that a big local? Do they capitalize on that in the Quad Cities? Do they talk about it? No,
it's just something I know. It was easy for me to know directions, but anybody who moved there always got confused with the directions. I just knew, that way is south, that way is north, and
the river's not running that way.
That's right.
Huh. So you grew up. Did you play any sports in high school?
I played basketball.
Okay.
Played basketball all the way through high school. I did track and field all the way through high school. I did football through 8th grade when they said, you are way too little for that.
Sure.
And I played baseball through my sophomore year, and then I kind of worked in the summer. But I love sports. I was, at one time, that was one of my many majors I floated through in college was phys ed. I was going to be a coach.
Really?
Going to make a difference in young lives by coaching them.
But you never became a coach?
No, there was a little thing called Vietnam.
Okay.
And so I ended up getting drafted because I set out for a year. Well, it actually became more than a year from college, and I got drafted. And before I went in, they had a great need for teachers.
Yep.
When I came out, everybody became a teacher to get out of the draft. And so they had no need for them, so I went a different direction.
What service did you serve in?
I was in the Air Force.
Air Force, okay.
3 years, 7 months, and 1 week.
Okay.
I wasn't counting.
Not that you were counting?
Yeah. I got an early out because I was over in Thailand, and if you come back with less than 6 months left, they just get you out. They don't want to send you to another base. It's not worth their time.
Not worth their time.
And because of some delays in my orders, I spent the last 16 months out of 18 in Thailand, 2 different bases. I had less than 6, and so I got out early.
Wow.
So.
Do you still have any friends from that you served with?
No, I don't.
No.
There was a couple that were pretty close. So we connected for a few years, and then we weren't located close together, which is ironic because one of them actually lived in Springfield, Illinois, which is that's where I worked the last 16 years before I came out here.
Oh, okay.
But,
really?
Yeah.
So you got back from Vietnam, and now they had plenty of teachers.
Yes.
So what did you decide to do?
I went to school as a part-time job.
Okay.
Good old GI Bill was real generous back then.
Oh, yeah.
And so I just started taking...
I didn't know. I wasn't there, but I remember hearing about it.
Well, yeah, you're a youngster. But I was taking 12 hours a semester at a community college. We called them a junior college back then.
Yep.
But and that was good pay part-time. Plus, I was working full-time.
Okay.
And I actually got serious about school, and the grades came pretty easy at that time. Finally, I got a letter saying you can't take any more hours here.
Oh, really?
And so I looked around, and Western Illinois University had what they call a Board of Governors degree, which they actually would come to the Quad Cities. It was about 90 miles away and teach classes. Now they actually have a campus there in the Quad Cities. But it was, again, like a part-time job, take my 12 hours and get over $400 a month bonus money.
So you got bonus money for going to school.
I did.
But did you enjoy it? Did you start to find your passion?
Yeah. I found a niche.
Okay.
I always liked political science. And even though it was called a Board of Governors degree, I had enough hours for a political science degree. When to graduate from college, usually you have between 120 and 130 hours.
Yeah.
But because I took so many junk hours at that junior college, I ended up with 180 hours in my undergraduate degree. So I had a lot of hours.
Sure.
I had enough for a business minor, a major in political science, and then a whole bunch of other stuff as well. But I finally got it. And from there, I found out Iowa State University would fly into the Quad Cities and offer a degree in public administration. I was working in city government at the time, so it kind of correlated. And so this time it wasn't a job, it was one class at a time for my master's, but I eventually got my master's degree in public administration.
Okay. What were you doing working for the city?
I worked everything for the city. I worked for the city of Bettendorf. I worked from the back of a garbage truck to the front of a garbage truck, plowing snow, and eventually moved to the city of Rock Island and was the head of all sanitation for the city of Rock Island in Public Works Department.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you enjoy that?
Yeah, at the time I was young.
It's funny because as you get older, you kind of look for enjoyment in everything you do.
Yeah.
And I've always, a lot of people you've heard the phrase that if I'm going to be a ditch digger, I'm going to be the best ditch digger ever. I've never lived by that. I've always lived by, and I feel like I live by this, that if I'm going to be a ditch digger, I'm going to be the funnest ditch digger to work with. Yeah. And I'm going to enjoy it. Whatever job I was in, I always tried to find the best out of it. And because life's just a little too short. And at this point in our life, we really realize it, and it's not worth not enjoying what you're doing.
Yeah, I enjoyed the city of Bettendorf was fun. I'd actually started the city of Bettendorf part-time during the summers.
Okay.
And I did 4 summers for them. And then I got married after my second year of college, and they put me on full time. 6 months later after that, I ended up going in the Air Force because I was getting drafted the same day and I didn't want to get shot at.
Yep.
So I did that. And so I had a job when I came back. They're waiting for me. And so I did that for a few years. Then I started my degree process. And and eventually I just moved across the river to the city of Rock Island into a management role. And then just as I was finishing up my master's degree, in fact, all was left was my oral talking to my committee. And I'd already decided I was going to go into the ministry at that time.
Okay.
And then went a journey into the ministry and a whole bunch more schooling and different things. And,
so what was it? What called you to ministry?
A radical encounter with God. I mean,
Okay.
that's all I can say. I mean, I grew up in the church, but kind of wandered away quite far away, you might say.
Yeah.
But God got a hold of me through a lot of circumstances and just an awakening, you might say. And so I went into the ministry, finished up my master's as I was going into the ministry. It was part-time at actually my home church I grew up in.
Really?
And then went full-time at that church. And from there, about 1989, I became a lead pastor, I guess they call it today. We call it a senior pastor there.
Yeah.
And I was down in the St. Louis area on the Illinois side, then in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and then back into Jacksonville, Illinois, which is just outside of Springfield. So I put about 17 years in the ministry.
And so when you were growing up as a youth, was your family very religious? And
yes.
Sunday church every day, every Sunday?
If the doors were open, we were there Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night. I mean, we were at church.
Really?
Yeah.
And did that, so then when you grew up to be a young lad, did you kind of, as you said, you get away from God? Is it because did you or not away from God, but from church? Were you still going every Sunday?
No.
Just
I did when I first got married. We did for a while, but it was not living it. It was just kind of a social thing,
going through the motions.
Yeah, and then
people.
once I went into the service, we went further and further away. And then when I went to Thailand, I went way far away. Yeah,
sure.
And so it was a journey back. I spent about 10 years after I came back from Thailand, and I was a mess. I was the typical hippie type guy.
Yeah,
and that.
And then you saw some things, and
no, I didn't.
No.
It was just peaceful over there. Everybody enjoyed themselves over in Southeast Asia. I was in the safe part of Southeast Asia.
Okay.
The law of limitations has run out. So yes,
sure.
Everybody over there was pretty much high the most time.
Okay.
Either high or drunk, one of the two.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you come back, and then you got to adjust back to real life. Yeah,
it was an adjustment. There is, even if you weren't into combat, there is a tremendous adjustment back to what we call real life. And I had 2 children at that time.
Sure.
I was pretty much a mess for about 10 years. And then I had this literally a radical encounter with God and continued on the path I was on. And then I had people speak to me early in life. I preached my first sermon when I was about 16 years old.
Oh, wow.
And that was just, I did it. That was it.
Yeah.
And I had people say, I think you're going to be a pastor someday.
Yeah.
And that was far, far from my mind most of that time. And then even after this encounter with God, I still did not see myself doing that because I had a plan. I had a path for my life.
Right.
I had a couple of kids. My son was probably about freshman in high school. My daughter would have been about 7th grade. So I wasn't going to mess their lives up by doing something like this. But it just kept that nudge, that push, everything just kind of lined up, and that's the direction I went for the next 17 years.
So was the encounter, was it an instant trigger, or was it something that happened and then it kind of, you kept thinking about that moment?
It was almost like a vision.
Okay.
It was for about 4 or 5 days. And there was some things that led up to that in my own life that just put me on a bad trajectory. Okay.
Sure.
No one knew it.
Right.
I mean, everything, I hit it very well, but it was just, And so then it was just a night after night thing. Like in the middle of the night, I would just, have this vision of Jesus just calling. I mean, it was just a strange thing. And about a week later after this, it went on for about 5 days.
Okay.
I just, that's it. I surrender.
You surrender.
And that's what it is. It's not about religion. It's not about, although I always tell people, going to church doesn't make you a Christian any more than going to McDonald's makes you a Big Mac.
Right.
Okay. But if you're going to find Big Macs, you're going to find them at McDonald's. You're not going to find them at Wendy's.
Yep.
And if you're going to find Christians, they should be in church because that's what it's Jesus' church. So that's where you should find them. Yeah. But even then, life has been a struggle, up and downs, left the ministry, all those good things, worked for the state of Illinois for the last 16 years. And then we ended up out here.
Yeah. Well, we can fast forward through that.
I mean, you can ask any question you want.
Did you enjoy? Okay, did you enjoy the ministry? Was that your?
It was. I loved it, except there was people.
Yeah, people get in the way.
People just get. I love preaching.
Yeah,
I mean, it's still, if I had opportunities, and I've done it a couple of times at ISI ministry here in town. It's a passion. I mean, I love it. I love to be able to communicate to people about Christ. It's the greatest passion of my life. I made a lot of mistakes with people at times. My way or the highway type thing. Attitude, young, I was stupid. And there's no cure for stupid sometimes, but I've learned a few things. But overall, I love the ministry. I always say it was the best of times and the worst of times.
Sure.
It is everybody's called to do something. And I just always felt there's something special about a calling to be able to share Christ every week with people.
Yeah.
But, dealing with problems in the church is not always the easiest thing. So it can wake you up at 2:00 in the morning and go, what am I going to do with that situation? I can't just take him out back and shoot him. So I probably have to deal with it. I always thought, maybe I should send him to Jesus, but people stopped me from doing that.
I find it fascinating because you are not, you may have been the typical hippie being drafted back in the day, but you are not the typical Christian preaching Christianity, because you are very matter of fact and not, and I take this in the right way, but not the friendliest as far as compassion. I feel like you say it how you see it, and it's like, and like you said, people get in the way. I always just said with running a business, if it wasn't for customers and employees, it'd be great.
It would be wonderful
because we're humans and we're flawed, and we have to work with them. Yeah. So did you struggle when you're having a great sermon and you think you're going to change someone's life, and you see that person walk out the door and live his life the same exact way? Was that hard for you? Or
yeah, it was. It's amazing, and I've heard Pastor Ashley at CCV say the same thing. It's amazing what God does. Okay.
Yeah.
I think I got a home run. I mean, this is good stuff.
Right.
And it falls off the edge of the pulpit and right on the ground, and it's like people are going, that stunk.
Yeah.
Okay? And then you preach something that you struggle. I mean, literally, speaking wise, you're struggling, you're stumbling, you lose your place, you're just all over the place, and people just go, that was so good, that spoke right to my heart.
Right.
And even better yet, people will come up to you and tell you, when you said such and such, that is just what I needed to hear. And you sit there and you think, I never said that. Right. That happened on many occasions. Really? that people heard something in the sermon that I never spoke of, because at first when they said that, I would get the tape and listen to it. No, I never did say that.
Right.
But God spoke that into their heart. God had something for them that I did not have, and he communicated much, much better than I could. But yeah, there's frustration when circumstances and sometimes in people's life, and you want to preach to that circumstance, which you really can't do. And there's the hard part, but you learn that to just be open, transparent. And I think I look at people a lot better because I've had ups and downs and ins and outs. I used to tell people that I got saved so many times that the angels of heaven stopped rejoicing. They just said, it's Russ again.
Yeah, Russ again.
And that, so, but I think I understand. So I still have my pet peeves.
Yeah.
Which we won't go into.
Sure. We got to keep positive. Yep.
Yeah. But overall, now I'm much more accepting of people probably than I was when I was a pastor. I was always very accepting of people who were hungry and new and desiring to deepen. I got tired of people they've been a Christian for 30 years, but they were 1 year old.
Yeah.
They never matured. They never grew. They stayed the same and repeated the cycle over and over again.
You said earlier that you can't fix stupid. And I've been very stupid in my life. But I've also feel like through time and experiences as you get older, some of the stupid lessons.
I do different stupid now.
Yeah, different stupid now. But I don't, the stupid that I seem to have that I'm really proud of, I guess, is how I look at people. And it's easier when you're talking about someone. Kirsten, my wife, can come home and go on about, someone or something, an experience. And I said, but we don't know where that person's coming from. We don't know what they went through that day. I'd never try. I used to judge a snapshot picture of someone and, that guy's a jerk because he's doing this and he's bragging about that. And then you realize they're bragging because they're insecure. They're insecure because something happened. It's a trail of events. And I can understand from your perspective, the answer. The answer for everything is find God, find and read the Bible and find the answer.
Yeah.
And that's
it's just develop a relationship just like you develop a relationship with your spouse, with your child. It's all about developing a relationship and making it grow. After I left the ministry, I was looking around for different things, and I remember speaking to a guy who had been a former minister, and we sat down and had a lunch, I think, together, and he was he was the general manager of a Cadillac division in St. Louis.
Yeah.
And he, when he went in for the job, the guy said, well, you're really not qualified. You don't have a sales background. He says, I have been selling the number one product that you could ever find in the world, and I was very successful at it. I think I can sell your stupid cars. And now he was general manager of the whole place then.
Really?
Yeah.
And how did he respond to that?
He said, explain. And he said, well, I was a preacher. I sold people Jesus Christ, the greatest. There's no better product than that. I mean,
right.
he put it in a framework that Christians aren't usually comfortable with, but He got his point across that basically a preacher is a salesperson.
Yeah.
And they're Jesus is the product. So
yeah, and you're going to be making payments your whole life. You're not going to get a payoff until the very end. So get ready.
But boy, it's a great payoff.
It's a great payoff.
It's a great payoff.
Yeah. So that's fascinating.
Yeah, it was interesting though when I left the ministry. Ended up getting divorced. All of that is part of the leaving the ministry, and got remarried, and then that master's degree that I never thought I was going to use, came back around, and it helped me in securing a managerial position for the state of Illinois.
Okay,
and I worked there for close to just under 16 years. Enough to get a little bit from them here. These later years of life. Take
care of the later years. Yeah, because I can't think being a pastor pays very well.
It pays. It's okay. It's not. I never wanted for anything. Here's an amazing thing. We got into a situation in Albuquerque where the finances got a little bit tight for a while.
Sure.
But in fact, to pay staff, I took pay cuts for several years.
Okay.
Every year I would take less and less, but I never wanted for anything. I mean, the Bible says in Philippians 4:19 that He will supply all of your needs according to His riches, unlimited, in glory by Christ Jesus. As long as I was faithful to Him in my finances, I didn't have to worry about it. I never wanted for anything, even though I was making less and less and less.
Sure. Yeah.
So I am not my source even today.
Right.
Like this is not the subject you wanted to go to, but
I have no subject.
Where we are now, everything is good.
Yeah.
I mean, my wife has a great job.
Yeah.
She could keep that job for the next 15 years.
Okay.
They just love her. She's a nanny and they love her, and the kids are 7 and 5, and She can keep it till they're in college.
Wow. And she enjoys doing it?
She does.
That's the important part.
Yeah. Well, she did daycare in the home for 30 years. So this was a natural transition for her.
Oh, nice.
When we came out here and I retired. And so we have everything here. I get to golf a lot here, 12 months a year. We love the church. We're very involved at CCV at the church. And we're going to be going to Springfield, Missouri. Now, there's some positives there. We love the church there. I've known the church for 30-some years.
Okay.
My daughter, son-in-law are on staff at the church. I've got 4 grandkids that are on staff at the church. They're very involved.
So you got a nice network you're going back to.
But we have nothing as far as what we're going to be doing. I mean, there's going to be, no matter what she does, it won't be what she's doing here for the finances she's doing here. Yeah. And so there's a lot of uncertainty there. But the peace we had here for 7 years is kind of, I call it a holy dissatisfaction. Really? Everything's good. Yeah. But we're just dissatisfied. Yeah. It's just not where we're supposed to be.
Not quite right.
Even though all of that is up in the air. Right. Although we have a house, we will have a house. It's up in the air. Still, we have a peace about that. Yeah. Peace is always the umpire. And what I'm going to do, okay, everything can look good. All the circumstances look good. But if you don't have peace, then stay away from it. Here it can be, man, that looks like chaos, but you have a peace about it. Step into the peace.
Let's back up. I get what you're saying, that you didn't really have the peace here where it felt quite right.
We always did, but then it started pulling away. It's just a slowly, like a few months ago, we began to go, we have children and grandchildren in St. Louis. We always thought someday we're going to end up there. Okay. Okay. Yeah. But after Christmas this year, it was more like Springfield, because and the church is the big difference. Okay. St. Louis, we don't really have a church that we are connected with. Here we have a church that we are connected with. Sure. And we know, I know a lot of people there. And so that is the overriding factor. Plus, we'll be only 3 hours from kids and grandkids in St. Louis rather than a plane ride. Right.
So let's get to Arizona. Since we're leaving Arizona, what made you want to come to Arizona?
Even though it's a chilly April day, unbelievably chilly after March's record temperatures, we don't like snow, and we're going. Right. Yes, we're going back to it, but it's not snow up by Springfield, Illinois. It's snow down in Springfield, Missouri, which is a little bit less and a little bit milder temperatures. But the weather. My parents lived out here for 20 years. Okay, and so I knew what it was like. My wife is really anti-snow, growing up in Northwest Iowa. Yeah. And so that brought us here. We actually bought out here in 2016. Yep. We were on a long weekend visit. And
you bought in Sun City, right?
We bought in Sun City.
And you liked Sun City better than versus Westbrook.
Well,
in some respects, didn't you?
Yeah, in some respects. We're only a mile from where we live. Yeah. Okay. So we moved a mile. In Sun City, you had 8 golf courses. Yeah. And you got to pay a certain fee to play 8 golf courses. Yeah. In Westbrook, the golf is only 2 golf courses, and it's quite a bit higher. In fact, even as a non-resident, I play in Sun City. Yeah. Because once I moved, I had all my connections there who I play with and that. And so it was a natural thing. But even that is quite a bit less expensive than playing. I mean, it's 60% of what.
Westbrook is $100 in the winter, and probably $50 if you get the cooler pass or something. Yeah. But I'm just talking about. I'm an all-inclusive guy. Yeah. Okay. Yep. It's all-inclusive, and there's quite a bit of difference in the all-inclusive packages between the two. So my wife. Why am I in Westbrook and not in Sun City anymore? Because my wife loves Westbrook, and so we are here. Well, let's talk about what does your wife love about Westbrook? What drew her to Westbrook?
Well, she thought we was going to be actively involved. Yeah. We haven't been.
You haven't been?
We're so, between her work and being involved in church to the degree that we are, we've been to bingo a couple of times. Otherwise,
Otherwise, you're...
We have some friends through our group, through church, that live in Westbrook. But she's busy. She works 6 days a week.
Okay.
Now, only short days, most of them.
Yeah.
Okay. Because the kids, once they hit school, she went from Monday through Friday to now she works Monday afternoons through Monday through Friday, and then she works one day a weekend.
Huh.
Usually she works on Saturday all day.
Okay.
But the last couple of weeks, because of this house we're trying to sell, she's worked Sundays because we had open houses on Saturdays.
It's
and she doesn't trust me to get the house ready for it.
No, my wife never did.
I don't either.
My wife, when we were selling our home to move here, it was if it was an open house or a showing, I mean, I would say, well, it looks pretty good, and she would spend 2 hours prepping it. And we don't have the attention to detail.
Yeah. She trusts me with the showing.
Okay.
As long as she can take care of things and then go.
Yeah.
But an open house, no, we're not.
No,
we're not.
You're not
go
qualified for that.
But it's funny when we sold the house in Sun City.
Yep.
She was in Europe with her daughter.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So you got it done.
Well, I didn't actually, but I showed it 7 times. Okay. I showed it, never had an open house, and then literally 2 days after she got back, it sold.
Huh.
So I'll take credit for it. Thank you.
All right. Well, I'm going to miss you. I'm going to miss seeing you walking, and but I hope you have a wonderful life in Missouri.
I've already, one of my to-do things is when we get there, we got a little sunroom.
Yep.
And that I'm going to get a treadmill.
Okay.
Because of those days and it's, you
know what? It'll be better on your back and your knees. Those treadmills are good for you.
Yeah. My son-in-law said you found the only place in the Ozarks, our addition, that's flat.
Oh, really?
Because it's a little hilly there, but
okay.
This edition is totally flat. It's an answer to prayer.
Well, I thank you for doing the podcast, and I loved hearing your story. I can't wait to share it.
You mean we're done already?
Done already. It's over 30 minutes.
Oh, my word.
Seems like time
Seems
flies,
like we just sat down here.
Yeah, I know. Well, thank you very much.
You bet. Thank you.
Thanks again for tuning in to the Meet Your Neighbor podcast. Real estate is how I'm able to support this show and give back to our community. If you or someone you know is thinking about buying or selling a home in Arizona, I'd love to help. I also offer a free real estate review, basically a health checkup for your home's value and market position. You can call or text me anytime at 651-295-6830. Again, that's 651-295-6830. I'd be honored to help you or your neighbors with the next chapter of your real estate journey. And thanks again for listening, and be sure to keep connecting.